Hello and welcome to Channel 2S. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and today we will be continuing the build of the Reborn 100 Bawoo. Now yesterday, I built the head and torso, which looks pretty nice, and I built the rifle and I built the shield. So today we're going to build some more of it, starting with the waist. So I got all the runners I'll need for it right here, so it's time to start cutting out parts. Looks like they really are using high-grade style construction methods for this because, as you can see, the waist skirts are not separated, which means I'm going to need to do a little cutting in there. And the G-plate is now empty. And now the multicolor H-plate is also empty. So, time to get these parts all cleaned up and then we can start building. Okay, so here we have all the parts for the waist all cleaned up and ready to go. As you can see, not a lot here, so this should go pretty quick. So first we're going to take this piece, drop these in here. That'll give us this nice little yellow, I don't know, I guess these are grenades on his hips. They look pretty cool. I always like that little element of the design, and it's nice to see all these little design elements from the high grade being actually properly colored in now, instead of just being sculpted in details. And I don't think that's the right end. I don't think it's this way. I think it is this way. Yeah, it's this way. Okay. I guess this tips. Or if it doesn't, why is it round? I don't know. I'll figure it out eventually, I suppose. So it feels like something should go in there. Yes, it should. These go right down in here like this. Just like this. And then everything just locks together. Just like magic. Just like that. And then I'm going to take these and just kind of push them in there like that. They fit in pretty snug. This is just going to go right down over them, and hopefully these won't loosen up too much because I did separate them and sometimes that does cause skirting issues, so hopefully I didn't mess this up too badly. This, it's just kind of looks like it just clips down there and it. Okay, that could be interesting later on. Kind of wondering where that'll go. So you got that. Okay, I figured it out. So apparently I missed a piece when I was putting it together. This is B2. You need B2 because this is actually what those little thrusters attach to. They pop in right here and right here. And then this goes here. And after this is here, then you put on the front, just like this. And now it'll tab in much more securely. There we go, just like that. Now the legs can go on here when the legs are ready. And then these parts here, since these thrusters are now down here, are opened up so that you can put in the wings. And the wings just clip in like this. They just stick into the hole. And you can just have them resting by his side, just like this. Is this one in all the way? No, it isn't. Let's fix that. Frontwards or backwards? I'm going to put them this way. I don't know if that's accurate. I just like how it looks. Unless, yeah, I'll keep them this way. I like how that looks with the slant kind of going up this way. I think it looks pretty cool. And then you can just take this, and I already have the kind of nodule that makes up the front of the Bawoo nutter already stuck up in the torso. I'm just going to kind of clip this stuff around it a bit more, and then stick them together. There we go. So that is the head and torso completed for the Bawoo. So now we should be able to move on to the arms. Although first I'd like to point out that the limbless Bawoo kind of looks like some sort of squid tentacled mobile armor with its octopus legs walking around, or perhaps spider legs. Looks like it has some sort of alien body. And it actually looks kind of cool this way, but we're going to have to put some limbs on it now, so this is the last time you will see the Spider Bawoo. Okay, got all the runners for the arms ready, so I'm just going to build one arm right now, since they're both exactly mirrored aside from the hands. I'm going to build one arm here on camera, then I'm going to build the other one off camera, so all the parts right here, these are going to be for one arm. I'm going to build the other one after it, so I'm going to start cutting out parts now, so we can get on with the build. Okay, that's everything. Okay, so here's all the parts for the arm. Now I did notice one thing when I was cleaning off the gates for this kit, and that is that while the gray plastic parts and the black plastic parts are actually made of a softer plastic similar to that used on the frames for the Iron-Blooded Orphans kits, the orange plastic is not. In fact, both the orange runners, or rather all three of them, although the aged runner does seem to be made out of the softer plastic, the completely orange runners are actually made out of a really hard plastic that is kind of hard to cut off the runners. You definitely need to use a lot more force than you normally would, and I actually felt kind of like I might be about to break something when I was cutting some of them off. And then I got to cleaning off the gate marks, and I did actually split one of the parts because I was trimming off the gate off this piece right here, and you can still see a little chip right there where I actually split this little vent section right down the side there, and I did fix it with a little bit of cement, but it is unfortunately kind of noticeable there. So just a word of warning, when you're denubbing this kit, I'd recommend either using a really sharp knife or just sanding off the nubs, because there are definitely some issues here if you try to go in with a duller knife, because you will probably chip or break or split parts. And I understand why they use the harder plastic, because it allows them to get like those really fine details and stuff that they couldn't get in the softer, sort of mushier plastic, but it is a lot harder to denub these, and you do have to be a little bit careful with them. So that's just something you have to keep in mind. So now I guess we can finally dive into the actual build for the model, which should be hopefully less eventful than the denubbing process, because that was a little disappointing to crack that part, but it did end up pretty much okay, since I was able to fix it almost to the point where it's unnoticeable. So that's a pretty good thing. So then we're going to just take these here, and you want to put this in right here, and this kind of makes a sort of little bit of simulation of the inner frame of a master grade, where you can kind of see the gray underneath the armor. Obviously there's not an inner frame here per se, as you've seen throughout this build, but this just helps kind of give the impression of that. So I'm going to stick this on here, and I have that backwards. I'm going to stick it on here, and then stick this in here. Just like this. Should I do it like this? Yeah, I'm going to do it like this. So just come on and pop it all in. Okay. There's no polycap here at the shoulder pad connection. Little concerned about that. That was an issue I had with the high-grade Bawoo, was that there was no real polycap here. So this joint ended up getting really floppy and really loose, and if you just let the kit sit for a while, the shoulders will kind of just go down like this. This one's stiffer than that. Haven't had it built for very long though, only about 10 or 15 seconds, so we'll have to see how this lasts over time. Maybe I'll check up on it again in a year and see how well it fared. But I also want to point out there's actually little triangles of gray that peek through the armor. It's kind of cool. I like that. So now moving down to the elbow. So we're going to take this orange piece and slide it down onto the gray section. Maybe it goes this way. I think it goes, yeah, it goes this way. Okay. And then this is just going to pop in here like this. And then grab this section here, or is it this section? I think it's this section. And see if I can just kind of get rid of that mark there a little bit with my thumbnail. And is there anything else that goes in between these? I feel like something should go in between these. Does something go in between them? Nope. Looks like they just go right up against each other, and everything else is kind of built around this. So it's kind of a pseudo inner frame, like you might see in a modern high grade. So I guess that's something. That's kind of interesting. And how does this go? It looks like it just pops on like this. Yep, just like that, although that peg needs to go in. There we go. And then the little missile hatch goes right here. Come on, there we go. And then we'll just need to build the... How does this go? This way? No, it's this way, right? Yeah, that looks right. This way, this piece goes like this, and then we have that exposed like that. This just goes over the other side. And now we have that little gimmick they talked about in the box, where after you have the hands unplugged from the arms and you're going to transform it, you can just rotate the wrists around, and they're completely hidden away. I like that. I don't actually even know if I've seen that on Master Grade before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I recall, they haven't really used this gimmick on anything before, and I think this is a new thing, and I hope they use it in the future if they ever do any transforming kits like that double Zeta Verka they have in the kind of planning stage right now. It'd be really cool to see that sort of style of wrist, sort of joint concealment on that, because that would be awesome. But it looks like these are just going to go like this. And then this just plugs into the shoulder. And then it actually, wait, hang on, this is not... There we go, now it's clipped in all the way. And I'm going to bring it up here, and we can see the spider Bawoo right here, and as you can see, I've already built one of the arms just off screen, just to save time, since they are literally the exact same build on each side. So now we have most of the upper body of the Bawoo. All I have to do now is build the hands and the beam sabers, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, so since there are literally only a couple pieces involved in making the hands and the beam sabers, I'm not going to fast forward through any of this. I'm just going to chat with you guys a little bit while I'm cutting these pieces off of the runner. So there we have the two halves of the beam saber, and I think that's all you need to see. Going to grab the ones from the other C runners. So we got number 1 here for the top of the blade, or for the top of the handle rather, and then the rest of the handle is right here, number 14. Okay, so I do feel a peg on the back of this. Let's see. Yep, there is a peg on the back. Okay, so it looks like the beam saber is going to peg right into the hand, so that'll give it a really good solid connection. And then we have the hands themselves right here. They are very big hands, even for a 1/100 scale. These feel a little on the big side. But we'll see how they look once they're on the arms. And it also looks like he has only one set of hands, so no trigger hand for his rifle, which, not gonna lie, a little bit disappointing. But hopefully it'll still look good. I mean, it is a pretty awesome looking rifle, so even if he doesn't have his hand wrapped around it quite as it should be, it'll still look pretty cool, and for display purposes, it should be just fine. So now we need the backs of the hands from the D runners, and again, this is that brittle orange plastic, so as you can hear, it definitely has more of a snap to it, and I really have to put a bit more pressure on this in order to trim it than I do on the other runners. So again, something to keep in mind when you're building this. Just work slowly and take your time as you're going through the orange parts. Maybe even sand them instead of shaving the nubs down, just because that can definitely improve your results if you're trying not to stress the plastic too much. So now I just gotta take off these beam saber blades here, which are quite long. If I pull in, here's the blade. Well, here's one of the blades for the high grade Q blade Revive, which is another yellow beam saber kit. And as you can see, high grade beam, master grade beam. There's quite a size difference in them, and these Q blade beams, bear in mind, are huge on the Q blade. So this guy's gonna have big beam sabers, as he should, being a pretty large 1/100 scale model. So glad to see they went with a nice, good size on those blades. Okay guys, here we go. Super complicated assembly time. we're going to take these and just stick them together like that. And I'm going to take this and stick it in the end of it. And boom, it's a beam saber. You could also take that out and stick it in right here, which is probably actually why it has the tab. I thought it was for holding it in his hand. It's probably just there so he can stick it into his forearm like that. But it does look very nice when it's on his forearm, so can't be too disappointed about that. And honestly, I'm not really disappointed about it at all, because it could still be used to tab into his forearm, or rather into his hand. Can't speak straight today, but yeah, we got that in that arm, that in the other arm, and it looked like in the manual he can actually kind of auto-eject those into his hands, so not exactly sure how that would work, but it sounds cool. So now we're just going to build the hands. As you can see, very plain on the insides of the hands, kind of like a high grade's hands. Definitely not master grade tier, but again, it's a Re 100. It's supposed to look like a master grade without actually being a master grade. It's kind of the gimmick of the whole line. And I have to say, so far they're actually pulling it off pretty well, and so far I say, even though I've basically built half the kit at this point, but I do like it. I really do think this is actually quite a cool kit so far, although I have had some minor issues with the plastic, like I said, being quite brittle, and have had one minor breakage issue. But other than that, I think it's going really well. I like how this kit's coming along. I think I'm going to have a pretty positive opinion of this kit once it's done as well, so I'm definitely looking forward to having this finished. But that is all the time I have today to build this guy. So, just a refresher on what we have so far. The entire upper body, the beam sabers, the rifle, and the shield. So tomorrow we're going to work on the legs, but before we go, I would like you to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and if you're new here, if for some reason this is the first video of mine you're seeing, I don't know how that would be possible, but maybe it is, so you should probably click that subscribe icon that's on the screen right about now, and watch some of my other content by clicking the little video thumbnails to either side of it. I'm your host, Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time.